The blue whale is the largest animal to exist on Earth today. These giants can reach over 100 feet in length and weigh up to 200 tons. Their hearts alone are the size of small cars. They're so massive that their tongues can weigh as much as an elephant. But despite their size, blue whales are gentle filter feeders, straining millions of tiny krill from the ocean with their baleen plates. Now imagine a marine predator this size. Not a filter feeder, but an apex hunter with massive jaws built to crush and tear. A creature that stalked the oceans like an 80-foot orca, hunting other marine reptiles in seas so productive they could support multiple giants of this size. That predator existed. Its name is Ichthyotitan sevenensis, the giant fish lizard of the Seven. And until 2024, we had almost no idea it was out there. The story of how we discovered this colossal reptile begins with a rock found on a beach in England, and it reveals a lost world of ocean giants that vanished 201 million years ago. This discovery is so recent that most people still don't know it exists. Ichthyotitan sevenensis was formally described in April 2024, but the story of how scientists pieced it together spans 6 years, 2 separate beaches, and an incredible find by an 11-year-old. The story begins in 2016. Fossil collector Paul de la Salle found a portion of fossil jaw in May at Lilstock Beach in West Somerset. He later returned to the location and found more pieces that together formed a part of a lower jaw, more than a meter in length. After the find, in 2018, University of Bristol paleontologist Dean Lomax and his team, including de la Salle, described the giant jawbone. It was so big that it had previously been mistaken for a dinosaur bone. Lomax said he was hopeful more specimens would come to light. 2 years later, he got his wish. In May 2020, father and daughter Justin and Ruby Reynolds were fossil hunting on the beach at Blue Anchor, a few miles east of Lilstock, when Ruby found a large chunk of bone. Realizing that Ruby may have discovered something of considerable scientific value, the family started to read around to try and work out what they found. In the process, they stumbled on Lomax's 2018 paper and, sensing a match, got in touch. Lomax examined photos and immediately knew what they had: another piece of jaw from a giant ichthyosaur, more complete and better preserved than the first. When reconstructed, the Blue Anchor Sarangula measured over 6.5 feet long. The Lilstock specimen was even larger at over 9 feet. Both bones showed the same unusual curved shape, confirming they came from the same species. But the real breakthrough came from examining the bone's internal structure. The tissue showed the animal was still actively growing when it died. It hadn't reached full size. In April 2024, Lomax and his colleagues described the fossils in a paper published in the journal PLOS ONE. They named it Ichthyotitan sevenensis, a reference to its apparent size and the River Severn estuary, where the second jaw fragment was discovered. Justin, Ruby, and Paul were all included as co-authors in the study. So what exactly was Ichthyotitan sevenensis? It was an ichthyosaur, a group of marine reptiles that first appeared around 250 million years ago during the early Triassic period. Despite being reptiles, ichthyosaurs evolved to look remarkably like scaled-up modern dolphins and porpoises. They had streamlined bodies built for speed, flippers instead of legs, a dorsal fin on their backs, and a powerful tail fluke for propulsion through the water. Everything about their body plan was designed for life in the open ocean. But here's where Ichthyotitan stands apart: its size. We only have fragments of the lower jaw to work with, so scientists had to estimate its total length by comparing these bones to better-known ichthyosaur species. By comparing the jawbones to Shastosaurus sicaniensis, a giant ichthyosaur from British Columbia, researchers estimated Ichthyotitan reached around 25 meters, about 82 feet in length. That's roughly the length of a blue whale, though likely not as heavy, given its more streamlined body. To put it another way, that's about twice the length of a city bus. And this individual was still growing when it died. Analysis of the bone's internal structure showed rapid growth patterns, meaning this was either a sub-adult or a young adult. It hadn't reached its maximum size. We don't actually know how large Ichthyotitan could get. Ichthyotitan belongs to a family of giant ichthyosaurs called Shastosauridae. Other members of this family, from British Columbia and Himalayasaurus tibetensis from Tibet, lived around 13 million years earlier. Ichthyotitan represents one of the last of these giants. The discovery extended the family's range by 13 million years, showing these giants were still around at the very end of the Triassic. So, what was the world like when Ichthyotitan ruled the seas? Ichthyotitan lived around 202 million years ago during the Late Triassic. The world looked fundamentally different than it does today. All the continents were joined together in the supercontinent Pangea. Sea levels were much higher, flooding continental shelves and creating vast, shallow marine environments across the globe. The climate was warmer, with no polar ice caps. What is now Somerset, England, was covered by warm, shallow seas, nothing like the cold, turbulent waters around Britain today. These late Triassic oceans were remarkably productive. New forms of plankton were evolving, forming the foundation of ocean food webs. These microscopic organisms multiplied in enormous numbers, feeding small fish and invertebrates, which in turn fed larger predators. Layer upon layer of life, building complex chains that could support giants at the top. The warm temperatures and high sea levels created ideal conditions for marine life to flourish. On land, dinosaurs were just beginning to diversify and spread across Pangea. In the skies, pterosaurs were taking flight. But in the oceans, it was ichthyosaurs and other marine reptiles that dominated. Plesiosaurs swam through the water. Placodonts crushed shellfish on the sea floor. And at the top of the food chain were the giant ichthyosaurs. What makes Ichthyotitan particularly significant is its timing. This species lived right up until the end Triassic extinction event. For a long time, scientists wondered whether giant ichthyosaurs were already in decline before the extinction hit. The discovery of Ichthyotitan answers that question. These giants weren't fading away. They were flourishing right until the ecological calamity struck. Now you may be wondering, what did an 80-foot marine reptile eat? For years, older studies suggested that Shastosaurids were suction feeders. But current research tells a different story. The jaws of Shastosaurid ichthyosaurs don't fit the suction feeding profile. Their short and narrow hyoid bones are unsuitable to withstand impact forces for that kind of feeding. And some species, like Shonisaurus, had robust sectorial teeth with gut contents of mollusk shells and vertebrates. Ichthyotitan is believed to have been a predator, hunting smaller prey, including other marine reptiles, in a fashion similar to an orca. Think about how modern orcas hunt. They're intelligent, powerful predators that hunt seals, dolphins, even other whales. They use speed and strength to to take down prey. They're apex predators, sitting at the very top of the ocean food chain with nothing above them. Ichthyotitan likely operated the same way. These were apex predators, the orcas of their time, stalking the Triassic seas more than 201 million years ago. An 80-foot reptile hunting other marine reptiles, smaller ichthyosaurs, and anything else it could catch. For all its size and power, Ichthyotitan couldn't escape what was coming. Around 201 million years ago, the Triassic period came to an abrupt end, with one of the most devastating mass extinction events in Earth's history, the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. The cause is still debated, but the leading explanation is massive volcanic activity. As the supercontinent Pangea began to split apart, enormous volcanic eruptions occurred in what is now the Central Atlantic magmatic province. These eruptions pumped huge quantities of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, triggering rapid climate change and ocean acidification. Sea levels rose and fell dramatically. Ocean chemistry changed. Marine ecosystems collapsed. The giant ichthyosaurs, including Ichthyotitan and the entire Shastasauridae family, went extinct. They had thrived for tens of millions of years, dominating the Triassic oceans as apex predators. But the extinction event wiped them out completely. Some smaller ichthyosaur species survived into the Jurassic period, and ichthyosaurs as a group would continue for millions of years. But they never reached the massive sizes of their Triassic ancestors again. What makes the discovery of Ichthyotitan so significant is that it shows these giants weren't in decline before the extinction hit. They were flourishing right until the end. This wasn't a gradual fade, it was a sudden, catastrophic collapse. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about Ichthyotitan, make sure to subscribe for more videos about prehistoric life and the incredible creatures that once ruled our planet. And if you're interested in learning more about the mass extinctions that have shaped life on Earth, including the one that took down Ichthyotitan and the famous extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs, check out our latest video where we cover all 5 major extinction events and explore whether we're living through a 6th one right now.